Israel's commitment to the F-35 is about more than its strong bond with the Pentagon. It's a strategic acquisition that allows the country to respond to widespread instability in the region. I sat down with Defense News Israel Bureau Chief Barbara Rome to find out how this buy fits into Israel's broader military priorities.
Well, as these new aircraft, the F-35Is, come online, they will be replacing older model F-16A and B models. And then when they build up to a considerable quantity, they will also be replacing Israel's older F-15 fleet. And what's interesting is that Israel has already planned from day one this fourth generation escort squadron so that these F-35, fifth generation F-35s will pull the fourth generation up to that level through a complete integrated network. At least that's what they're planning.
Oh, great. Okay, so now obviously F-35 is known very much for their stealthy capabilities. I mean, that's what internationally we hear so much about the F-35. How might that be helpful in terms specifically with Israel in terms of their future strike operations in Iran?
Extremely helpful, especially when the advanced air defenses in the region, particularly in Syria, but also in Lebanon and, of course, in Iran, they will be covered with advanced Russian S-300, S-400s. There's the SA-22 and the SA-17 that have been in the region for a while. The Israel Air Force has always known how to get around these air defenses, but it's a huge challenge. It's very risky. They have to be limited by different altitudes and flight paths, but they have this interesting presentation on the air staff where they show that with these new F-35Is, they believe they'll be able to sail right in. So obviously, operationally, this gives them much more complete freedom of operation.
I don't know whether anything has come out on this, but I'm asking you because I'm curious. Have any of the other nations that this really will kind of support in terms of supporting Israel with its military strategy, have we heard any kind of response from some of its adversaries in terms of what Israel's doing in building up its own force?
Well, a key benefit of having this fighter is its deterrent aspects. So Israel believes that this is really going to beef up its deterrence. They expect, they have not received, from what I understand, any promises by the U.S. government, but it is their full expectation that the U.S. will not sell these fifth-generation stealth fighters for a generation to come. If you ask the Israelis, they'll say, we never want these aircraft to be sold in the region. Obviously, that's not going to happen. There will be a time when these aircraft will have to be just like the F-16 that has been sold throughout the region. But right now, Israel is looking at that with deterrence, and it's not unusual that you haven't heard about it because it's still new, and maybe they're deterred.
Yeah, and there is. It's fascinating to hear people say only Israel in terms of where the F-35 in that region is going. So now, of course, there's the Russia Air Force, and is there any concern that there could be actual clashes or more clashes in terms of the space and skies above Syria?
Yeah, now the whole entry of Russia as a key player, as a pivotal player in Syria and flexing its presence and its muscles throughout the region, right now it shouldn't matter. F-35, not F-35. Right now, Israel and Russia enjoy some type of cooperative relationship in terms of deconfliction. They've put in place some protocols, and they have actually avoided very dangerous and unintended clashes. We know what happened between Russia and Turkey. Israel and Russia are committed to prevent that kind of thing from happening between them. But if things go sour, if the equation changes, this is a very, very delicate situation. Russia is backing Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and Bashar al-Assad in Syria is allies with Iran and Hezbollah. So it's a very delicate balance, and if something changes, and if that cooperative relationship goes away, then these stealth fighters will come in, become very useful in allowing Israel to retain its freedom of operation in the skies of Syria. Because why is it so important for Syria, for Israel to operate occasionally in Syria? Because they have this policy, a very clear policy of red lines. They will not allow advanced Syrian weaponry to be sent across the border into the hands of Hezbollah in Lebanon. They've acted in the past. Most recently, this month, there's been reports from the Syrian media that they waged airstrikes against convoys and arms depots. So Israel has an interest in preserving its red line, and let's hope that it will not involve friction with the Russian Air Force.
Absolutely. Just a few seconds left, but what has to happen in Israel now, between now and when these actually become operational, they reach operational capability?
That's an excellent question, because there is a long process. Now, we got to remember, it took about 10 years for Israel to reach this stage where it has its first pair of F-35s. There will be another intense process, at least a year, for them to declare IOC, but many, many years afterwards as they adapt Israeli unique weaponry. They're integrating communications and electronic warfare systems in these new aircraft, and then finally putting it all together in one force package. This could take years to come, but the bulk of the work will be done in the year to come.
When we return, Leanne Carrot, President and CEO of Boeing's Defense, Space, and Security business. You're watching Defense News.